Devil Gummies. These little gummies should be made with little horns on their heads. These bears look so sweet and innocent, and yet they have an evil side which is equivalent to eating 100 Elax tablets. To be quite honest, I read the reviews, and after reading about someone else needing a seatbelt because they gave them so much gas, or about the guy that said to eat these and go on a long road trip if you want to break up with your girlfriend, I had to try them. The guy that mentions napalm, I had to say, is exaggerating a little bit. He must have had a few jalapenos or some Mexican food before eating these because they don't put out any heat at all. They do, however, do everything else others say they do. I really purchased these bad boys to give to a few choice friends and some fellow coworkers. I handed these little guys out like they grew from a tree. I made sure not to give any more than 15. If you give someone a handful of 30 or more, they may eat 5 or 10 of them and save the rest for later. If you give them 15, they are particularly guaranteed to eat all 15. So after handing them out, I sat down at my desk and waited. These little devils got hold of my coworkers after 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And I have to tell you, I've never had so much fun at work before. There are 5 restrooms in my entire building. There are about 60 people in the building, 1 co-ed restroom, and 2 male and 2 female restrooms. There was a line before using the restrooms, even after the guys decided that it was okay to use the females' restrooms for emergency use only. Believe me, it was an emergency. My boss decided he couldn't wait in line and took off at 10 a.m. for an early lunch, just so he can use the restroom, I think. Let me just say, we have flexible lunch schedules, although we typically limit them to about an hour. He didn't come back until 2:30, and he was not happy. He asked me what I gave him, and I told him that I had just received a package from Amazon. I showed him the box. I showed him that they were sugar-free gummy bears. I asked him if he liked them. He said that he thought that he had a bad reaction to them, but I told him I doubted it, since I ate several myself and nothing happened. I hadn't eaten any. I'm so evil. I was in for it though, after he talked to several other people that had the same reaction. They all came into my office at the same time and confronted me about the gummy bear incident. I thought for sure they were going to shove a handful down my throat and see if I had the same reaction, but gladly they didn't. I had to say I was a bit worried. They all come to the same conclusion that the gummies were evil and they needed to be destroyed. They took them from me, even after some pleading from me, and destroyed them. By destroying them, I mean, of course, that they flushed them down the toilet to be sent to the horrible place that just claimed 4 days' worth of bowel movements from each person. So after going through about 10% of a 1-pound bag, I have to say that it was worth every bit. Needless to say, I have now ordered a 5-pound bag so I can give them to my choice friends. Seeing as I was quite able to disrupt them of their first incident, and post another fun bit in the 5-pound section. If you're looking to eat these treats, take my word for it and just buy the regular sugar gummies. A few cavities won't hurt as bad as these little devils will. If you want to put the hurt on a couple of choice people. By all means, these are the gummies for you. Epic farewell. I wanted devil bears to take to my last day at work and torture my coworkers. I did some research and discovered that these had the spawn of Satan ingredient in them, so off to work I went with these little demons. I was filled with excitement and fear the entire drive in, not to mention filled with gas from the bears I stupidly ate the night before. Fat kid problems. Fast forward to everyone showing up in the office, supervisors excluded, making it an epic last day. We reluctantly started eating these delicious bastards, some not convinced they would have any reaction to it. Fast forward about an hour, and contestant number 1 made a mad dash to the bathroom, not to be seen again for a while. Return from the bathroom, and said coworker appears flushed, no pun intended. 15 minutes later, spawn of Satan returns to take the same coworker's rectum hostage. The rest of us stopped eating at the first sign of the coworker's colon's death sprint. I wish I could say we were saved from the carnage, but I would be lying. The sound coming from our guts sounded like angry whales, and the cramps were worse than I could have imagined. Our eyes popped out of our heads with every violent growl of our intestines, yet we were unable to contain our laughter. One coworker went from laughing and joking to silent and a look of fear. He zoned out from our discussion, looked dazed, and panic set into his now pale face. It became apparent. The guy who can't drop a deuce in public is now focusing all his energy in not dropping a deuce of hot bear lava in his pants. It was amazingly noisy and smelled for days as farts flew, and the fear of sharding our pants grew stronger and stronger every minute. These little bastard bears were worth every penny. I have seen the face of God. I don't feel the need to plan my weekend around 5 small gummy bears. But if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It began with a noticeable change in the viscosity of my saliva. Within minutes of consumption, my mouth was filled with a thick, foamy slime. Though I was in a cool, climate-controlled room, a salty sweat broke out, and I felt my heartbeat quicken as my body threw itself into fight or flight. The animal noises broadcasting from my pelvis were an ominous warning of the violent act that were to follow. I shouldered my way into the bathroom, clawing at my belt, moaning in pain. The smell came first. It started sweet, almost tangy. That was quickly overpowered by the cloying chemical perfume. The first volley of feces hit the water like a soda can and nickels. The resulting splash drenched my bottom in foul, blackish water. But that was quickly becoming the least of my worries. After another moment, the noise in my core hit a fevered pitch, and I was struck rigid with pain. The sweat was now running into my eyes, but the room had turned ice cold and my hands began to spasm. I felt an insidious burning flooding my escape hatch. I gasped. Hot yellow poison began spraying from my rear, changing in pitch and echo as the stream of diarrhea whipped around the toilet bowl, creating a nightmarish Doppler effect that can only be appreciated in hindsight. My legs fell asleep sitting on the toilet. I couldn't have stood up if I wanted to. Wiping was a no-go. Toilet paper simply became a vile paper mache. My hands were quickly soiled. A full-blown shower was needed, and all of my towels had to be burned. So happy with my purchase. Would recommend to friends and definitely buying again.